So the lawless crackdown you just saw going on in Canada right now will have consequences for all of us, because Trudeau has not just ended freedom of assembly and speech, arresting journalists. As part of his emergency authority, Trudeau also gave himself the power to control all money in Canada, to seize the bank accounts and crypto wallets of private citizens. On what basis? We don't know. He just asserted it. His deputy prime minister has announced those seizures are in progress now. Watch.
The names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen.
So when you imagine tyranny, you imagine people being loaded into some sort of transport to go to a camp. But this is 2022. Tyranny looks a little different now. Tyranny is when they take all your money and you have no power whatsoever. And that's exactly what Trudeau's government is doing to anyone who dissents. They're targeting crypto exchanges. That's where people keep their cryptocurrency. They can convert it quickly into cash. Money on those exchanges is no longer safe, defeating the whole point of cryptocurrency. Jesse Powell, the CEO of the crypto exchange Kraken, just wrote that Canada, quote, 100% will force his company to freeze assets without judicial consent. Again, lawlessly, they're just doing it. He added this, quote, if you're worried about it, don't keep your funds with any centralized regulated custodian. We cannot protect you. You almost never hear businesses telling customers, we can't protect you. That's honest. So what are the criteria here? On what basis are Canadian authorities raiding currency platforms and seizing digital currencies? Well, Canada's so-called justice minister explained the criteria the other day. He announced that Canada's government doesn't need a court order in order to take all of your money. Here's the standard. If you've ever supported Donald Trump, then you can lose access to your bank accounts. Your political views will determine whether you have any money at all. Watch.
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
So again, without becoming hysterical about it, we cannot overstate the importance of what we're watching right here. It is a preview. Canada is not the last country in which this will happen, in which a neoliberal government will become a fascist government overnight while smiling and talking about diversity. You should know the Biden administration, once again, has not condemned this. In fact, they're emulating it. The White House is currently, right now, preparing to release an executive order on cryptocurrency that could come as soon as next week. According to Yahoo, the plan is for the federal government to, quote, come up with a government-wide strategy to regulate digital assets. The FBI, meanwhile, has just formed a new unit, quote, focused on digital asset seizure and blockchain-based law-breaking. Now, what does that mean? Well, we're learning from Canada. Blockchain-based law-breaking means that you donated money to a cause the government doesn't like, for instance, against vaccine mandates. And the State Department has no problem with that at all. So what does this mean for our financial system? Well, if you ran a big bank, you'd be very concerned about this. Once the government announces they can zero out people's bank balances, if they don't like their Twitter feeds, people tend not to trust banks. You could get bank runs. They understand that. There's a lot of volatility ahead. This is a scary moment. Marty Ben is the founder of Tales from the Crypto, a Bitcoin podcast. He joins us tonight to explain. Marty, thanks so much for coming on. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, and it's easy to play the tape of people getting run over by horses, but the idea they could just seize your digital currency strikes me as a very big deal.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Tucker. But yes, they can only seize your digital currency, your Bitcoin, if you're holding it on an exchange, like you mentioned. It's much harder for them to seize it if you're in control of your Bitcoin by holding your own private keys, which is the beauty and the importance of Bitcoin as a monetary revolution. It allows you to actually control your money. It is a digital bearer instrument. It is digital cash. So as long as people are taking control of their own private keys, it's significantly harder to stop the spread of Bitcoin and prevent people from sending transactions.
So that's, without getting too technical here, and thank you for saying that, so the promise of cryptocurrency is still in place, that you can operate transactionally without government oversight. How complicated is it not to use an exchange but to hold the keys for yourself? Could the average person do something like that?
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, there's plenty of mobile apps that you can go download, whether it be Blue Wallet, Green Wallet. You can find those in your iOS stores or Android apps. These are open source wallets that anybody can download and easily create private keys, send their Bitcoin from an exchange directly to a wallet. They can back up their wallet with 12 words that if they were able to memorize them, theoretically they could walk around with their Bitcoin in their heads. So it's very simple to access the software that enables you to take control of your Bitcoin and actually custody it yourself.
God, I mean, you got to think if they're zeroing out people's bank accounts for political reasons, there's going to be a rush to cryptocurrency. I mean, in one sentence, do you expect that? Do you expect crypto to become more popular after this?
Oh, I think certainly we've seen the actions by the Canadian government wake people up, like, oh, if they can do this to our bank accounts for protesting about civil liberties, like how far will they go to stop us from transacting using the traditional system? And so I think over the last few weeks, people are really beginning to recognize the beauty of Bitcoin and the utility it provides as a distributed network that nobody can control. As long as you're controlling your own Bitcoin and you have those words written down secured, you have the freedom to control your money.
Which is, it turns out, the core freedom. Marty Bent, thanks so much for that explanation. Good to see you.